Hey everyone, and I hope you're having a wonderful day or night whenever you're watching this. Obviously for me, it is nighttime, and it's currently 11:01 p.m. And a lot of weird things happened yesterday. I wasn't home for a lot of it, but my friend came over to watch my dog, and she recorded a lot of the things that were happening, and I'm like, whoa. So yeah. There was like one slam of a doormat that could have been the air conditioning turning on or heat, whatever you want to call it. And then we heard, or she heard, walking upstairs. And she was the only one in my house. So that happened. And then when I got home, we were outside because we were too freaked out to sleep for a little while. And then we heard noises in the woods, which can be debunked, but they were like really weird noises, so we went back inside. Yeah. So anyway, let's continue with our Salem, Massachusetts tour, or whatever you guys want to call it. Salem, Massachusetts is known for its haunted history, perhaps none more so than of the Salem witch trials of 1692. That event alone seemed to have set off a firestorm of paranormal activity, and anyone who has looked into Salem's past surely knows about the House of the Seven Gables. It has been the source of many haunted tales throughout its history, and rightfully so. The connection that it has with the Salem witch trials is legendary. While it has been restored over the years, some claim that doing so had only served to exacerbate the ghostly happenings. Built in 1668 for Captain John Turner, the House of the Seven Gables is a colonial mansion located in Salem, Massachusetts, with the Turner family remaining as the home's owner for 3 generations. Initially known as the Turner House, the House of the Seven Gables got its new title from the author Nathaniel Hawthorne's novel of the same name. Named after its triangular peaks or gables of the mansion, is now open to the public as a museum. While it is non-profit, there is an admission fee to take a tour. The House of the Seven Gables is also offered educational programs for children that coincided with the current events such as social reform and immigration, but that's the here and now. How did the House of the Seven Gables come to be known as one of Salem, Massachusetts' most haunted manors? For that, we need to step back and reverse in the hands of time for a moment. When Captain John Turner had his own now famous home built for him way back in 1668, it started off as a rather quaint dwelling. It was added onto over the years to become the mansion that it remains today. John Turner's success in business offered him an ability to do this, with it becoming the expansor of the economy in Puritan New England times. He was already the head of one of New England's most successful maritime families of the time, with trading, fishing, mercantile businesses serving to cause a boom in the local economy. However, John Turner eventually died at sea with his widowed wife marrying another sea captain by the name of Charles Redford. Knowing that his fate would most likely be met at sea, Captain Redford inserted in his will that the mansion would go to his new stepchildren. Sure enough, that's exactly what happened. And the Captain Redford's recently acquired home was passed on to the Turner children without issue. It is after that and the house began to become a major part of Salem witch trial lore. The Salem witch trials are a well-known series of events that unfolded from February 1692 through May 1693. A total of 19 innocent people were executed in what turned out to be nothing more than mass hysteria. Emotions ran high during this time period, resulting in over 200 people being accused of performing witchcraft, not to mention a 4-year-old girl. Yeah, you heard me right. While all were later fully exonerated, at the time townsfolk were fearful for their lives and the lives of loved ones. It did not make much more of a passing accusation to be put on trial. John Turner Jr. was well aware of this and rightfully wanted to protect his sisters during the manic time, with the knowledge that children as young as 4 were being accused and face of potential death. John built a hidden staircase along with a fireplace within the Turner mansion. This and many other aspects of the home will come into play shortly. After enjoying the mansions of 3 generations, and after the last of the Turners died without any remaining heirs, it was eventually sold to Captain Samuel Ingersoll. This is where author Nathaniel Hawthorne and his novel finally came into play. Hawthorne would often visit Captain Ingersoll's daughter Susanna at the mansion. He would make notes of its design, eventually inspiring him to write the now famous novel, The House of the 7 Gables. The name stuck, and the Turner Imperial Mansion was henceforth known as the House of the 7 Gables. With this connection to and close relation to the Salem witch trials, the House of the 7 Gables had a staple in ghostly storytelling. Throughout the years since the horrific happening of the trials, many witnesses have claimed to have seen or encountered the spirits of yesteryear. Silhouettes in the shadows of every floor, the ghost of the little boy playing near the attic, and even the spirit of Susanna and Imperial are just a few entities that have been seen. Often the undead are seen near the gables of the mansion, further adding to its fright. The haunted manor has more unexplained action from within, such as lights turning on and off at will, as well as modern forces activating all on their own. Museum staff and visitors alike have reported the feeling of an unknown entity in the house. A psychic woman once took a tour on the house and claimed that she saw a young boy playing near the gables, even going as far as to the captain himself capturing him in a photograph. Adding further intriguing to the home's haunted history, it was recently revealed that the hidden rooms were discovered within the house. During the room where musicals and dances were once hosted, as well as the as the four accounting rooms, which was written about in Hawthorne's novel. This is the same staircase mentioned earlier that was built by John Turtle himself, so that he and his sisters could find refuge in the event of that any of them were falsely accused of witchcraft. All of these oddities combined to make for one of New England's most haunted, famous dwellings. What was once built to be a loving home in which successfully family could live, the house in the Seven Gables is now known just the opposite, with a long history of hauntings retold over the years. This once peaceful sanctuary became anything but that, with its close relation to the executions of 19 innocent people. At one time, society found their flaws thinking perfectly rational. Often it isn't understood or feared, means some to act out in the worst ways imaginable. In this case, the Salem witch trials and the horror surrounding it, people lived in sheer panic, stemming from a few aberrations. Sadly, innocent victims had to pay the ultimate price, but society's bent thinking. There is certainly a lesson to be learned through all of this, and that is the fact that we cannot act on our emotions alone, especially at the most important when we don't have all the facts. Throughout history, mankind has shown that the worst often comes out when we let our emotions get the better of us. All it took was a few people alleging witchcraft, and 19 people died as a result, with hundreds more to put to shame. Upon looking back, it's proved that depths that we can sink in order to fulfill a cause. There is, however, a bright side to this horror. As mentioned, the House in the Seven Gables now operates as a museum, teaching a newer generation of the fragile times in which we once lived. We can look at all the terrible history leading up to the trials and hopefully gain some perspective by relating to today's ongoing divisions. As if the House in the Seven Gables now stands to impart some wisdom of our thinking, then perhaps there's a happy ending here after all. Thank you guys for watching my videos. As always, haunted roll with spooky later. And until next time, sleep tight.